Okay, who should I buy from? We're looking at decision making in this task. 3 key aspects of decision making. Okay, it's working out what's important. Okay. What is it that you value? Now, in this situation, we're going to be using the needs hierarchy, the pyramid needs of Maslow's that we looked at before, and working out what part of that hierarchy are you going to be fulfilling in this decision you make. We're looking at comparing different alternative solutions to different decisions, alternatives, the pros and cons of each, justifying your decision, making a decision and saying, this is why I did it, knowing, being aware and conscious of your decisions. Now, the example we're going to be using, the decision we're going to be doing for this example is, where should I buy my clothing from? What sort of manufacturers? Should I buy it from manufacturers that make it in New Zealand, so made in New Zealand products, or from overseas products, people who make them overseas and ship them over here to sell them? And we'll look at both sides for the 2 different decisions and go through this 3-step process here. So here's a couple of different aspects and opinions on it. This guy here is he's talking about from the Australian perspective, but it's totally relevant for buying New Zealand made as well. New Zealand made versus overseas.
The reason why Australia trades with China to such a degree is that, well, firstly, China wants the raw inputs like steel and copper and coal that Australia has to fuel their factory, and China will refine these products and make them into finished goods. And these finished goods will typically cost 45 to 60% less than if we try to manufacture ourselves. So, and even the cost of packaging is less. So that's why Australia and China trade so much. China wants the raw materials, and Australia wants those finished products because they're made so cheaply. So guys, I hope that tip helped you understand the relationship between the 2 countries. I look forward to seeing you soon.
Okay, so talking about that it's cheaper for China to make the products in China than it is for even people making them in Australia. It's the same in New Zealand. Okay, it's cheaper for them to make it and ship it over to us than for us to make it. We'll have a look at some of the reasons why in a moment. Let's have a look at why it's good. This is about why it's good to buy New Zealand made. What are the benefits? And some of these aren't necessarily directly related to you, but more about the bigger picture, the bit wider community. So think about these benefits.
Recent surveys have shown that most Kiwis are fully aware of the advantages of buying New Zealand made. For a start, we're all fully aware that local grown produce tastes a heck of a lot better. By choosing to buy New Zealand made, you're helping to create more jobs for Kiwis, keeping money within New Zealand, thereby aiding our faster economic recovery, giving us all a better quality of life.
Come on, YouTube. So those are the benefits for
choosing to buy New Zealand made, you're helping putting power back in the hands of ordinary Kiwis. Visit GetNZ.
So talking about wider benefits for the bigger community, as well as for yourself.
Made.net for more information on where to buy New Zealand made products.
There we go. Okay, so there are economic benefits for everyone in New Zealand by keeping the money in New Zealand, increasing our economic recovery, and resulting in a better quality of life for everyone. Now, this last one I'm going to show you is a blog. Okay, so someone's opinion. This isn't fact. It's someone's opinion on buying locally made. It's actually American. Okay, but same principles apply: buying locally versus buying overseas. So let's I want you to read through these bits. Okay, so pause it and have a read. I'll stop on each section briefly so you have time to pause it. Make sure you're reading the whole thing. A couple of options here. Okay, so what he's saying is talking about it's important to be aware of your decisions. Okay. Also highlights some of the reasons that things might be cheaper overseas. How much things cost, the living quality of people, the wages. Okay. So feel free to refresh any of those videos or go back and read this document again. This is what we're going to base our decision on this time. So once you've got your information on your different alternatives, you're ready to go through and do the process of these three steps here. You need to get this document. It should look like this, okay? Get details up the top. What's important for me, that's the first one, comparing alternatives here. And the last one is my decision and justification. Okay, so what is important in a decision? Here's one I prepared earlier. Okay, so a couple of ideas that could be based on the needs pyramid and related to that. Could be a physical need to have durable clothing. Belonging to peer groups, the clothing I buy might need to fit in with brands and styles and colours and that sort of thing. Or it could be something even higher, self-esteem, by supporting different people and others and having other people's respect to me for that. Okay, making a moral decision. So we need to put this, like it says here, provide 3 or more full sentences on why it's important and why it's important, on what is important and why it's important. So on what and why. So this is on what. It's important for me to have durable clothing. It's important to have clothing that will last a long time and not wear out when I'm using it. It's important to have something that performs well. Okay. Now it's frozen, so give it a moment. Here we go. Right, so that's the what, and this sentence here is about the why. Okay, so let's have a read there. That's me explaining why. Right, so there's a good example there for the first one. Comparing alternatives. So main idea 1, main idea 2. Differences, so what's different about main idea 1? Different about main idea 2. And then a section for similarities. Okay. So let's see what we've got here. Buy New Zealand made products. These are the things that I think are different. Things that I pulled from the YouTube clips and the blog up there. Main idea 2, buying overseas products. Here's what I think is different about that. Have a read, have a pause if you need to. Similarities. Now, similarities are the things that are the same that both decisions have in common. Okay, so it doesn't matter which way you go, they still achieve the same result. These are the things identified here. Okay, so what is actually different about the two things? That's what we're trying to suss out here. What is the differences? Now, the last part, the good part, my decision, which way are you going to go? You think it's good to buy overseas, or I prefer to buy New Zealand made? This is the way I went. I think I'll buy New Zealand made when I can afford it and when it's possible. Okay, here's the 3 reasons why. Okay, you read those? So those are explaining your decision. That's why I did it. And now we need a bit of background as well. Have a talk about how it links with this task here, with your comparing. Okay, talk a bit about the pros and cons and what led to your decision. So for me, the cheaper thing was a big draw card, but overall it was more about helping out other people and helping out the place that I live. The last one links to my needs pyramid. So talk right back at the start here about some different ideas and how that links with my needs and my to fulfill my life. So I try and link back to that. This is how I did it. And my decision is based on self-esteem. Okay. So I'm doing it for the respect from other people and for the better of everyone else around me. Right, so here's an example of what in-depth thinking on making a decision looks like. This is what we're expecting for decision making at this level. Okay. If you have any questions, feel free to email me or leave a comment at the bottom.